Hi everyone. I wanted to talk about technopaganism. And it is a term that I hadn't really heard before, and I thought I was the only one who kind of fit into this category, but I guess I'm not, because I Googled it. I Google everything. And I came across a lot of people who feel the same way as me. Technopaganism is basically um, a modern day interpretation of paganism. And by that I mean using technology in your pagan or Wiccan or whatever spirituality, which I really, really like. Because we do live in a technological world. We don't live back in, the 1700s when we didn't have computers or cell phones or TV or movies or anything like that. Um, sorry. And the reason I think this is really important, and the reason is because, perfect example right here, I'm making a video on paganism or on Wicca, on witchcraft, or whatever. I make videos on this, and lots of other people do too. And I think that it's a really important aspect of our spiritual growth and our spiritual knowledge and connecting with other Wiccans, pagans, people who think like us, or even just people who are interested in what we have to say. And since technology is such a big part of our lives, why not incorporate it into our religious practices? I mean, we can't just ignore the fact that we have computers sitting in our houses, we make videos on our spirituality, and we connect with other people who are like-minded as us, and we do it over the internet. And I think that's a big thing. Like, so many people are like, well, it's about nature and the natural world. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from and I acknowledge that. And I think it is a really important aspect of our neo-pagan religions to be kind of in sync with the natural world. I mean, that's why we have the Wheel of the Year, because our Sabbats reflect the cycle of the earth. And but I also can't ignore the fact that, most of us, well, I shouldn't say most, but a great many of us live in cities, in suburbia, in urbanized areas, and we don't really get out into nature. You know what I'm saying? We don't all do our rituals outside in the woods. A lot of us have to do them inside in our houses because we just simply don't have, a lot of people don't have yards, a lot of people don't have nearby parks where they can go, especially if it's public, because then, people can come and interrupt you and, harass you and everything. And so we do it inside. And a lot of people have virtual covens where, since they can't be physically together for rituals, but because of distance or, whatever, then they do it online through Skype or Google Plus or whatever. And so when people say, well, technology doesn't have a place in Wicca or neo-paganism, I say that's bullshit, because it really does. Um, I recently, well, not recently, the past year, 2 years or so, I've been really into Futurism, which is basically just um, being interested and fascinated by the technology of the future and what scientists are discovering and, anticipating what we'll be able to do in, 50 or 100 years' time. I'm really into Futurism and I think it's great. And so I've been trying to incorporate it into my practice because I really think that those two things sync, because such a big part of my spirituality is technology. I mean, I think all, yes, literally all of the pagans that I know, because I don't know any in real life. I really don't. I mean, I know one, but we've never really kind of gotten together for rituals or shared our spirituality with each other. But all of the people that I've grown close to, all the pagans, I've met online on YouTube. And so I'm like, that's how I got started. I mean, I researched, witchcraft on the internet and in books. I met other people. I've talked to people about my spirituality online. I make videos about it, which is a huge part of my spiritual path. And so I like to incorporate technology into my spirituality. And I've read about a lot of people who, instead of having a physical book of shadows, they have one on their computer or online on a blog, which I really, really like. I mean, I've never been able to make a physical book of shadows just because since my spiritual beliefs and my thoughts are changing all the time, I mean, it's such a fluid spiritual path. I'm like, I can't make a physical book of shadows because then I would have to always be changing it, which is great, but it's really annoying, and honestly, it's a waste of paper and a waste of ink. And so a lot of techno-pagans have what they call, what is it? Discs of shadows, I think they're called, and it's basically just, a memory card or a computer disk that is their book of shadows, and they can just put it in their computer and read it or change it or show other people, and I think that's really great. And a lot of people, since I think most people don't have fireplaces these days, or even if they do, like mine, you can't, it has a screen over it, so you can't, it's gas, so you can't, put wood or anything in it, like incense or herbs or whatever. And so people use their ovens as hearths instead, because if you live in an apartment, that's the only option you have. You can't make a fire, so you use your oven. Or you can use electronic candles instead of real candles, and artificial scents instead of incense, because, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of having tools. Well, no, it doesn't. The purpose of having tools is to have a physical representation of the energies that you are putting out. With an athame, it is a, what is it called? It is an external sort of energy. You're directing your energy, whether it's casting a circle or drawing down the moon or whatever. Incense, the scent itself, is what is kind of changing your thoughts, putting you in a mindset. It's not the actual incense cone or incense stick. It's the scent. And so the whole purpose of tools is to kind of have a physical representation of the metaphysical energies that you are manipulating in rituals and spells and so on and so forth. And so it doesn't matter, if your tool is natural or if it's, man-made or whatever, or if it's technological. It's the same thing. It's still serving the exact same purpose. And another thing is a lot of techno-pagans believe that things such as the internet, which I'm starting to agree with this, have their own energy and their own sort of totem, I guess you could say, just like a rock or a mountain or a place or a tree does. Because just because it's man-made and it's not natural, it doesn't mean that there's no energy in it. It does have its own energy. I mean, technology runs on electricity. Eventually, your computer will die without being plugged in and being recharged. Same with your phone, same with everything. And electricity is a natural thing. And so these man-made things are running on a natural power source. And so I don't understand when people say, well, technology is man-made, so it can't have a place in the natural world. It does, because it works with the natural world. And so it's, so the internet, as I was explaining, and I totally agree with this, it has its own energy because the internet has just, exploded and everybody uses it now. It's in every aspect of our lives. We connect with other people on it, we do research on it, we watch videos, we entertain ourselves on it, and it connects the entire world in kind of this invisible force, this invisible energy. And if you think about it that way, it is in the same category as magic, basically, because when we do, we are manipulating the natural energies around us